say when they say, oh, where are you from? And I say Zimbabwe, usually followed by, you must be glad you're here. And well, I am glad I'm here. Thank you very much. Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Kudzie Mapiye, and on this channel I do videos about my life living here in Australia, and I also share different life lessons that I've learned along the way. So today I'm going to be talking about how Zimbabweans live in Australia. If you are not in Australia and you are a Zimbabwean looking to come to Australia, you are an African, you are any other person just curious how Zimbabweans live in Australia, I'm going to talk about this in this video today. And part of this reason is because before I moved to Australia, I had no idea how Zimbabweans lived in Australia. Like, I was just like going into the unknown. Like, I didn't know, so I moved in Australia in 2008. I wasn't even on Facebook in that time. So there was nothing for me to even see, whether social media. I didn't watch any kind of news or, TV related to what's happening in Australia, except for the show Neighbours, which was, wasn't really showing me the lifestyle of Africans in Australia. So I was really curious. I didn't know what kind of life was like I was going to be living. And if you have that curiosity and you're outside of Australia, just wanted to share a little bit of information with you so that you can be prepared. If you're moving here or wanting to move here or even wanting to visit, you might have an idea of how Zimbabweans live in Australia. So I think a lot of people who are in Australia and they're not Zimbabweans, they always ask this question. I have been asked this question numerous times by Australians. They always say, when they say, oh, where are you from? And I say Zimbabwe, usually followed by, you must be glad you're here. And well, I am glad I'm here. Thank you very much. But it's got this connotation. It's got this feeling of, oh my goodness, like you're coming from the worst place ever. You must be glad you even have electricity, running water. Like, you must be glad to just live a normal life. And people don't really understand how Zimbabweans live in Australia. And there might be this sympathy. And if you're in the workplace, you might actually experience this, people having this kind of sympathy to say, oh, you're from Zimbabwe, you must be really struggling, or, you must live in, just a really basic life or something like that. But how Zimbabweans live in Australia will surprise you. Zimbabweans are the most resilient people I have ever met. Not only are they resilient, they are very hardworking, and they strive for excellence. If you're a Zimbabwean, well done to you, because seeing how Zimbabweans live in Australia makes me so proud to be a Zimbabwean, because Zimbabweans will always go above what's expected of them. I know a lot of Zimbabweans who came to Australia and they were doing either very menial jobs, entry-level jobs. But one thing about Zimbabweans in Australia, they never stay at the same position that they are. They always rise up. They always improve themselves. They always want to live a good lifestyle. They want to have the finer things in life. So even though they might have come from Zimbabwe at a certain level, maybe they didn't have very much, they were looking for more opportunities, a better life. Once those people get opportunities, trust me, they are going to transform their lives. So please don't ever feel sorry for Zimbabweans living in Australia thinking they have it tough, things are expensive, they're not living the life. If you're an Australian watching this video, when you ask, you must be glad you're here, yeah, don't ask it from a point of sympathy, because you will be very, very surprised if you walk into a Zimbabwean's house, if you experience their life, the kind of life that they're living. And the life lesson that I really want to draw from this is that it doesn't matter your circumstances, and it doesn't matter where you came from. Given the right opportunities, given the right environment, you can always do better and transform your life. So, you might be in a situation right now where you're not doing very well, and it could be because of the circumstances that you're under. But that doesn't define you as a person. The moment you move into a different environment, your life will transform, and you will live the life that you have been dreaming of. And a lot of Zimbabweans came to Australia at a time where things were extremely difficult in Zimbabwe. And they came maybe when they didn't even own homes in Zimbabwe. Some people might not even have owned cars in Zimbabwe, but trust me, when they come to Australia and they're given opportunities, Zimbabweans drive luxurious cars, they live in mansions, they live like very, very good lives because they have moved their environment. So if you're someone who maybe you feel like things are not going well for you, sometimes it's not really about you as a person. Sometimes you really need to just open up your mind and think of ways to shift your environment. How can you move out of the environment that you're in that might not be working for you and what you want to achieve, and move into a different environment? Sometimes it's all about changing your environment. So, I've seen that, sometimes you might have a certain perspective about yourself, or, who you are as a person. You might think you will never achieve certain things, and you might even be in Australia and you're not living the life that you want to live. Think about your environment. And by environment, I'm talking about even your work environment, your work situation, your work circumstances. Sometimes when you're not in a very healthy work environment, it doesn't really allow you to live the life that you want. It doesn't give you the mental space. It doesn't give you, it doesn't give you opportunities to progress. It doesn't give you all those things. So when you feel like you are stuck in a space that's not allowing you opportunities to progress, exit as fast as you can, because you deserve to live the life that you want to live. And, just drawing, I always feel motivated by, when I see stories of Zimbabweans, especially the older, like 40 plus Zimbabweans who would have had a life in Zimbabwe. Like, unlike me, I just moved from my parents' house to Australia. Like, I didn't have a life of my own in Zimbabwe. There are other people who had families, they had kids, husband, like, set up in Zimbabwe, and then they moved. They had a certain life that they were living there, and then they moved to Australia and they started living a life that was just, I think, something that was in their dreams, like the life of their dreams, like, because it was so dissimilar to the life that they were living. And it just shows you that, people have potential, and never look down upon someone because of the circumstances or the life that they're living today. Trust me, if one little thing shifts in that person's life, you will be surprised how they will excel in life. So don't box people, because I see some people who came from Zimbabwe, when they share their stories and they share the life that they used to live, and you see the life that they're living now, I feel sorry for whoever used to look down upon them, because they will be just writhing, like they will be experiencing hell because they have to eat their words. It's like they'll be like, wow, this person, I never knew they could be like this. When people change their circumstances, they will transform their lives. So always, don't expect people to always stay where they are. And, people can transform. And I have seen this happening, and even for myself, when I first came to Australia, and I'll do this as another video because it's a story in its own. The first job I ever had in Australia. If you want to hear about my first, just leave the comments below and I'll do that video quickly. But The first job that I had in Australia and the job that I have now are worlds apart. And it was just a matter of me choosing to change my circumstances, choosing to change my work environment. I could have still been working the job I worked when I first got to Australia if I hadn't made that mindset shift to move my environment, to change my environment. So, if you want to really transform your life, you really need to make the decision and to implement the actions to change your environment. Otherwise, you will never experience what you want to experience. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys, that you know what, if you are a Zimbabwean looking to come to Australia, like, anything is possible. You can really, there's so many different opportunities that exist. You might not start where you want to be, but if you keep changing your environment, if you keep moving to places that allow you to progress, that allow you to achieve your goals, you will live the life that you have always imagined. And people, Zimbabweans here in Australia, if you're watching this video, you ought to be proud of yourselves, because I have not met a single Zimbabwean who hasn't changed their life from the time they first entered this country. Whether they're a student, whether they're an older person, they came as a professional. I have not met a single Zimbabwean who is still living in the circumstances that they were living in when they first entered this country. The people that I know have all leveled up. They have all gone and done something better. They have either studied more, gotten better jobs, they have just improved themselves. And that's something to be proud of. And it makes me so proud to be a Zimbabwean in Australia, seeing everything that they're doing. So yeah, that's it from me, guys. If you have any video requests, if you want to know anything about, Zimbabweans' life in Australia in general, please leave it down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.